أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين به نستعين وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا ونبينا أبا القاسم محمد وآله الطاهرين وعجل الله تعالى فرجهم الشريف واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Recently, we've been having certain, people parading themselves as doctors, attacking the creed and the faith of the 12 Imamiyya Shia Muslims, the madhab of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Previously, I have actually responded to one such person, and this person, he also calls himself a doctor, and I believe he lives in London. And he was actually denying the hadith of the 12 caliphs in the Sunni books, which the Shias actually use as evidence to support their beliefs. So just a few days ago, an Ismaili Agha Khani person who parades himself also as a doctor, he is actually also attacking our faith, our beliefs, under the guise of actually presenting historical facts, which in fact they are not actually facts, they are actually lies. So this is the lecture or the presentation. I don't know if it was a lecture, a presentation, or an interview, whatever it may be. He was gathered with some people, and he presented a paper, and the title of the paper, Ithna Ashar Zaid Wahadiyya. He is actually claiming that there was a sect that was forgotten or that has been forgotten, and the sect is known as Ithna Ashar Zaid Wahadiyya. We don't know of such a sect, wallah. But anyway, I will just quickly, go through the claims which he actually made in his presentation. He said, one would expect that when you read early Shia hadith books like Basair al-Darajat and al-Kafi, to see clear hadiths whereby the number of the 12 imams is foretold. So in other words, he's implying that this is actually not clear, or it is not foretold. But later on, he actually contradicted himself. He said out of the 20 hadiths in al-Kafi, under the chapter about evidence of the designation of the 12 imams, or the hadith of the 12 imams, he contradicted himself. He admitted that you will find 7 hadiths that explicitly speak of 12 imams after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said 7 in the same chapter are ambiguous. They speak of 12 imams, but Imam Ali alayhi salam, the first Imam, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, is not included. He said a couple of hadiths does specify 12, like the first. But after the 11th, that's after Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, that Al-Khidr mentioned a statement which goes against the beliefs of the Shia Imamiyya Ithna Ashariya. That Al-Khidr testifies to a man from the descendants of Hassan al-Askari, salawatullahi alayh, who will rise as the Qa'im. He said this is different to the belief in the son of al-Askari. He said, in addition, 6 hadiths in chapter 126, which speak of exactly 13 imams. They begin with Imam Ali, and then there are 12 descendants of Imam Ali, the Prophet, and Fatima, salawatullah alayhim. So that gives 13 imams. So this is a 12 plus 1 imamology schema. This is according to Khalil Andani, the Agha Khani Zindiq. He also mentioned Kitab Sulaim, that there are 2 hadiths, similarly like, the ahadith of Al-Kafi. Then in Kifayatul Athar, there is also 1. Then, he made a statement. He said there are too many hadiths like this to dismiss as scribal errors, in his opinion. So, we cannot just, in other words, he knows that one of the explanations we actually give for this ahadith is that there is actually scribal error. So no, he actually wants to use this in order to, to make a claim, in order to justify something, which you will actually see along the line. Um, so just to run down, through the main points he actually stated, he said there are hadiths which suggest 12 plus 1 imam schema. This is what he's calling it. Imam Ali alayhi salam is not included as part of the 12. The Mahdi, therefore, is not the 12th, but the 11th. And the Qa'im is the 12th. And the Qa'im is the son of Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Askari al-Mahdi. So the Mahdi is the 11th, and the 12th is the Qa'im. So he's trying to distinguish the Mahdi from the Qa'im. Now, along the line, as I explain and give you the evidence, you will understand why he's actually insisting on distinguishing between the Qa'im and the Mahdi. As we go along, it's a long, I hope you will be patient, because he mentioned a lot, and wallah, everything will be dissected, everything will be touched on every detail that he actually mentioned. Every hadith will touch on them. Now, we'll touch on Al-Kafi, we'll touch on Basair al-Darajat. We will touch on the main hadith that he actually, brought, because in the ones in Kitab Sulaim and the one in Kifayat al-Athar, they are similar. Like even some of them, even in Al-Khisal, which he mentioned, like some of them, they are the same hadith that you find in Al-Kafi. Like, for example, the ones of Basair al-Darajat, Sheikh al-Kulayni took it from Afwan. The one in Al-Kafi, Sheikh al-Kulayni took it from Basair al-Darajat. So, there are some similar hadiths. So, he also mentioned, he said, the original hadith about 3 Muhammads and 3 Alis, redacted by scholars or altered in Nu'mani, Saduq, Mufid, and Erdbili. Original hadith found in Basair al-Darajat, Al-Kafi, and Ghaiba. Majlisi has the original. He said this tells him that hadith showing 13 Imam schema is definitely the earlier version. He said, what is the conclusion? He said his conclusion as a historian, mashallah, historian, he believes another 12 faction that believed in 13 Imams, or 12 Imams excluding Imam Ali alayhi salam existed. Then he quoted, one strange pseudo scholar of Ismaili belief, who has a book, that's Kitab al-Shajara, that he mentioned multiple sects in the time after Imam Hassan al-Askari's death that believed in 12 Imams. So he mentioned 2 types of sects which believed in 12 Imams, and the second type of 12ers who say there are 12 Imams after the Prophet, not including Imam Ali alayhi salam. After Imam Mahdi, there is the Qa'im, who is the 12th, Imam Mahdi is the 11th. They don't believe the son of Imam Ali, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam. He is the Qa'im, but he is the Mahdi. This is what they're saying. So this group actually believed, this imaginary group, by the way, it's non-existent. They believed in 12. Imam Ali is not counted. The Mahdi is the 11th, and the 12th is the Qa'im. So, this ahadith, according to Khalil and Dani, this speculative ahadith, the way he is actually reading them, these are the bases, for this sect to have existed after the death of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam. So there is some basis to this, you 12ers, you have missed something out. This is what, this Agha Khani Zindiq is actually mentioning here. So I will give now, this is, a summary of the points he mentioned in his lecture. Now I will give a summarized answer, sort of, and then we will go into the ahadith. So if you want to follow along, till the end, no problem, because I will touch on a major point in regards to the so-called Kitab al-Shajara that he mentioned of the so-called Abu Tammam, an Ismaili, quote and unquote historian. I will make a statement here, and everything will be, very clear why he's actually insisting on, creating or fabricating or inventing a so-called sect that believed in 13 Imams and excluding Imam Ali alayhi salam. So I will give a summarized answer, and wallah, like everything he mentioned, it wouldn't take, if not that I want to go into the details. And of course, the brothers here will also, be of assistance, Brother Sayyid Ahmed and Brother Shadi. They will also be of assistance. So I will give a summarized answer, and then I will go to the details, and of course, Brother Sayyid Ahmed is helping us in actually pinning the links. So if you want to take a look, you want to verify any information I'm giving, you can actually click on the links. So just to give a summarized answer, number one, there is not one of those hadiths that Khalil, the Zindiq, and Dani mentioned that can be interpreted to indicate 13 Imams. There is not one. There is not one of them that cannot also be interpreted to indicate 12 Imams. In other words, the ones that are actually, they're kind of, the meanings can be conflated. You can read meanings into this ahadith. If you can read into this ahadith, you can read a meaning to indicate 13 Imams. There is also a way you can actually read this hadith to indicate 12 Imams after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, including Imam Ali alayhi salam. But he's not doing that because he's trying to make a theological case here while actually hiding under the cloak of, history. No, this is not history. You are sneaky. You're trying to make a theological argument. Okay? So there is not one of those hadiths that can be interpreted to mean there will be 13 Imams that cannot also be interpreted in a way to indicate only 12 Imams, including Imam Ali alayhi salam. Also, a very important point, on the chain level, these are weak. Many of them are weak narrations. Like in the entire chapter, this chapter that is pinned here, that has been pinned, there are 20 hadiths. Out of the 20 hadiths, only two. One of them, I think, is Sahih, and another one is Hasan ka Sahih. There are only two that, their chains really do not have problem. So, as an usuli, what I could have done, I could have said, throw all this hadith away, my friend. These are weak narrations, and this is not how we operate. These are not even fit to be regarded as, historical materials. So just throw them away. You don't even need, to go into, the details, the matin, or try to justify anything. Anyway, point number two, in summary, there is not one hadith about the identity of the Imams containing the names of the Imams that has more than 12 names. Yani, all the ahadith in the chapters, okay? Now, if anybody wants to claim 13 Imam hadith or 13 imamology scheme or whatever he calls it, at least you should be able to produce in the Shia books one narration containing 13 names. You're calling it, 12 plus 1. But all that we see, all the ahadith in Shia books, in Shia history, containing the names of the Imams, there are 12 names. Imam Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam is the first, and Imam al-Qa'im al-Mahdi, Ibn al-Hasan al-Askari salawatullahi alayh, he is the 12th. These are the names. The first, from Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, all the way to Imam Muhammad Ibn al-Hasan al-Askari, Ajjallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif. These are the names we see. We don't see any other name. So at least if, there is such a real confusion and there is a way, to interpret a hadith to indicate 13 Imams, at least we should have at least one hadith indicating 13 names. We don't have that. Or at least we should have one hadith whereby Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he would have said, min ba'di 13 imam, that after me there will be 13 Imams. We don't have a single hadith. I'm emphasizing on a single. We don't have a single hadith where the word or the letter 13 appears. That Imam Ali or Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, at least Rasulullah saying, after me, there will be 13 Imams. There is no such thing. So where is the 13 hadith Imam, Mr. Andani? At least you should be able to produce it either in names or in number. Not you using your crooked mind in order to read into the hadith and, interpret it the way you like and say, oh, well, this could mean 13 hadiths. Okay, so Afwan, 13 Imams. Yes, it could mean 13 Imams. But do you have 13 names in any hadith? Do you have the number 13 in any hadith? You don't. So this is your reading. This is not, a 13 imamology scheme or whatever you call it, because it's non-existent. It doesn't exist. So where did you bring this from? Okay? And of course, he's pulling this because he's trying to buttress an Ismaili heresy. This is the reason. And we will see that as I go on. So that's point number 2. No number 13, nowhere where Rasulullah said, after me there will be 13 imams. Or Imam Ali alayhi salam is actually indicating 13. No, nothing like that. Or 13 names, nothing. Point number 3, similarly, aside from the names, there is not one hadith where the word, okay, this I've included this point in the second point, along with the second point. Then the fourth point, 10 hadiths in Kitab Sulaim indicate the numbers, some of them with the names. In total, the names and the numbers in Kitab Sulaim alone, you have over 20 hadiths. Okay? Over 20 hadiths in Kitab Sulaim alone, restricting the number of hadith, the number of imams and their names to 12. Not more than that. Imam Ali salawatullah alayhi is the first, and Imam al-Qa'im al-Mahdi ibn al-Hasan al-Askari is the 12th and the last. This is what we find in Kitab Sulaim. Number 5, point number 5. One of the conditions, for imama is for the imam or the imam to be recognized and accepted as the imam, and also for the imam to be aware that he is an imam. That means after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed him as the imam cannot be in ignorance about his own status as an imam. In the case of the 12th imam, for example, we have narrations about his birth, about his imama, about his function, about his deputies, about his letters, about those who claim to have met him and who have met him, and about his 2 ghaibas, which is mutawatir in our hadith, from his forefathers, from his father. But do we have a single narration about this supposed son of the Qa'im, this supposed son of the Mahdi, who is the Qa'im? Do we have any such? We don't. We don't have a narration where any of the imams, they actually differentiated between the Qa'im and the Mahdi. Actually, what we have in our books are a hadith which clearly state that the Mahdi and the Qa'im, they are the same person. We don't have any such. But, he's insisting on creating a division between the Mahdi and the Qa'im. And this is an Ismaili heresy, as you will see shortly. So now, without taking much of your time, of course, I'm going to take much more, but, on the summary, so that I can actually go into, the details. I will go into the details. I will start with the link that is actually pinned by Sayyid Ahmed. This is from volume 1 of Kitab al-Kafi al-Sharif, book number 4, chapter 126. The chapter heading, the statement and the explicit text on the leadership with divine authority of the 12 imams. There is a total of 20 hadiths. So I will start with hadith number 1. I will run through, from number 1 all the way to number 20. I will try to be, as quick as possible so that people don't get, bored. So hadith number 1 under this chapter, this hadith is sahih. This hadith, if you read it, the chapter is actually pinned. You can read through with me, because I'm not going to spend much time in order to, read the full traditions. It will take a lot of time. Some of them are very long. So anyway, this first hadith, it is sahih. And what does it do? It mentions the 12 names. 12 names. Who are the 12 names? Imam Ali, alayhi salam, Imam Ali bin Abi Talib, alayhi salam is mentioned. So this hadith, it is not to be subjected. It is not prone to ambiguity, as this Zindiq is actually claiming. It cannot be manipulated if you read the hadith. There are 12 names, there are 12 imams. Now, what issue did he actually pick with this hadith? He said, if you read the matin or the content of the hadith, in relation to the son of Imam Hassan al-Askari, he is described by Al-Khidr alayhi salam as min wuld al-Hasan, according to him, from the descendants of Al-Hasan al-Askari. So this sick-minded person, this Khalil Andani, he's trying to say that, this is an indication in this hadith that Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, he had children, and the Qa'im is from among his children, from among his descendants. So this is what Al-Khidr is actually indicating. So this is, according to him, I'm quoting him, he said, this is a different belief from the son of Al-Askari being the 12th Imam. Now, this is the response. In Mir'at al-Uqul, volume 6, page 206, Allama al-Majlisi picks on this point. There is nothing new, Ya Khalil, that you can actually bring that our scholars have not touched upon. We are not lost. There is nothing. You're just like, you're a midget. If we are to compare you or place you, under the microscope to compare you with our scholars, what our scholars have contributed, what they have left for us from the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, you are too small to confuse us. You can do this. You can do this to people like you who are ignorant of Shia history, who also, you can play with translation or with interpretation, because you are actually mistranslating. Now, I don't know if you're mistranslating because you don't know Arabic. If it's an innocent mistake, I will say, well, he has an excuse. But no, this is deliberate. He has done it, repeatedly. Repeatedly. We've called him out many times, even on other occasions. So look at the response of Allama al-Majlisi in Mir'at al-Uqul. He said, لهذه الكلمة من ولد الحسن كان من للبيان فإنه لم يكن له عليه السلام ولد غير القائم والولد بالضم والتحريك يكون مفردا وجمعا. He said, Allama al-Majlisi said, this wording, the min wuld al-Hasan, the min from, he said it's for al-bayan, it's description. In Arabic, there is min lil-bayan and there is min lil-tab'id. The min lil-tab'id, it means when you're actually saying from a lot, in other words, some. And also min from can mean in order to describe the thing or the person. And then he went on to say, he said, and the word would can indicate both singular and plural. So in other words, this word would, min would al-Hasan, he fell into the mistake of mistranslation. Because for example, on some, I don't want to mention any name, on one of the websites, for example, in English, it's actually min wuld al-Hasan, from the descendants of Imam al-Hasan al-Askari. It shouldn't have, the word descendant should not have been used. The correct word that should have been used is offspring. Because even in English, the word offspring, it can mean one child or it can mean multiple children. So he fell for this. This is a doctor. He's not supposed to make such a mistake. Especially when, you're coming out, and then, I don't know which, he's claiming that the channel on YouTube that hosted him, this is a Shi'i channel. Now, I don't know which Shi'i, Ithna Ashari Muslim channel will actually host you and then propagate your heresy. I will doubt their iman. I will doubt their faith, whatever they name themselves, even though they call themselves Al-Mahdi Institute. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're actually hosting you so that you confuse people? Is that what Shias do? Under the guise of history? Tayyib, we move on. This is the issue of hadith number 1, min wuld al-Hasan. We're done with this. Hadith number 2, it's also sahih, but this hadith, it actually gives context to hadith number 1. That the hadith number 1, it was actually narrated 10 years before the Hayra. In other words, in the minor occultation, they actually, the author of the book is actually establishing the authenticity, the soundness of hadith number 1. Hadith number 3 is da'if. So, in this hadith, there is the name of the father of Sayyidah Fatima, the name of the husband, that's Imam Ali. Take note of this, very important. The names of her 2 sons, and the names of the executors of the will from her descendants. Then, one by one, the names of the Imams are mentioned from Imam Ali to the 12th Imam. All the names amount to 12. So there is no problem here. Hadith number 4, mukhtalafun fih. There is difference on its soundness, on the soundness of its chain. But this hadith cannot, be subjected to, ambiguous claims of, sick-minded people, or cannot be subjected to manipulation by sick-minded people. The hadith mentions the first 5 imams by name. Further, it mentions 9 from the descendants of Imam Hussein alayhi salam will complete 12. Tayyib. If 9 from the descendants of Imam Hussein, then you cannot have another imam after the 12th. So this your theory about the Qa'im being different from the Mahdi, this according to based on this narration, your theory falls apart. So are we going to ignore this, and follow your theory because you're fabricating history and because you want to promote Ismaili heresy? Of course, you're a clown. Hadith number 5, it is da'if. This hadith, it mentions a story between Imam Ali alayhi salam and a Jewish person. The chain is da'if, but since he has turned us into akhbaris, and irrespective of the chain, we have to actually we can still explain the hadith, and there is no problem. We can explain it, and we can make our case, and we can prove how much of a dishonest liar this zindiq Agha Khani is. So in the hadith, Imam Ali alayhi salam told the Haruni, a descendant of Nabiullah Harun alayhi salam, that there will be 12 just imams as successors of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. No one's betrayal will harm them, and they will not feel frightened because of people's opposition to them. This hadith is also found in Al-Khisal of Sheikh al-Saduq. No one's betrayal will harm them, okay? And they will not feel frightened because of people's opposition to them. In the matters of religion, they will be stronger than the firm mountains on the earth. Imam Ali alayhi salam said the successors are 12. Now, will this include him or will this not include him? Of course it will include him. Why will it include him? Because the Haruni in the hadith testified to the status of Imam Ali being the first successor to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. In this hadith now, there is something interesting about it. The term that is actually used in this hadith, this is a Shi'i hadith. This is found in Al-Kafi. The hadith says, لا يضرهم خذلان من خذلهم ولا يستوحشون بخلاف من خالفهم وإنهم في الدين أرسبوا من الجبال الرواسي. So the betrayal of anyone who betrays them, it doesn't bother them. It doesn't threaten them. They don't care. Now, do you know, oftentimes the Sunnis, like for example, the Sunnis we are familiar with online, they will come and they will ask us, they say, which of your imams use the hadith of the 12 caliphs to actually claim that this hadith refers to them? That's the hadith of the 12 caliphs in the Sunni books. We've had this many times. I don't want to call names. They will come, they will tell you, which of your imams has actually used the hadith of the 12 caliphs to indicate that this hadith of the 12 caliphs in the Sunni books, this actually refers to them, your Shia imams. Tayyib. I'm going to give you an example. In the Mu'jam al-Kabir of At-Tabarani, a Sunni book, volume 2, page 196, it is already pinned. Listen to this statement. يكون لهذه الأمة 12 قيما لا يضرهم من خذلهم. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, and this hadith, by the way, it goes back, I think, to Jabir bin Samura, that for this ummah, there will be 12 upright rulers, caliphs, قيما لا يضرهم من خذلهم. That whoever betrays them will not harm them. The same expression, exactly the same expression that you will find where? In Kitab al-Kafi. You see the similarity? Rasulullah said, لا يضرهم من خذلهم. Imam Ali in al-Kafi is saying the same thing. So this goes to prove the similarity between the wardens. Rasulullah is saying, لا يضرهم خذلان من خذلهم. Imam Ali is saying, لا يضرهم من خذلهم. So this will give us certainty that this idea that whoever betrays them will not harm them, this gives us a certainty, a level of certainty at least, that this statement has come out from the mouth of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. In the Shia hadith, you find the statement. In the Sunni hadith, you find the statement. Subhanallah. You see? Anyway, finally, in the hadith in Al-Kafi, the Haruni, what does he do? He testifies. After the Imam answered his questions, he said what? He said, I testify there is no Lord besides Allah, who is one and has no partner, and I testify that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger, and you, that's Imam Ali alayhi salam, you are the executor of his will. So what does this indicate? That Imam Ali is one of the 12. If the Haruni mentions Imam Ali separately as the wasi, as Khalil indicated to say that this makes to the claim that there is actually ambiguity, that's a false claim. Or maybe Khalil himself did not read the hadith to see, Imam Ali is saying there are 12 after the Prophet, and then the Haruni is actually saying you are the first, you are the successor. Now, if you want to say this is 12 plus 1, this is according to your sick mind. The Haruni is saying Imam Ali is the first. Imam Ali is saying there are 12. If there are 12, it only beholds that Imam Ali is the first. Because if Imam Ali is not the first, and the Haruni is testifying to the position of Imam Ali alayhi salam, what does it mean? It means we end up with 13. But Imam Ali is saying 12 after the Prophet, after Rasulullah. So you see, he's trying to play a game. We go to Hadith number 6. Hadith number 6, the grading is majhul, but it's not subject to ambiguity. It's not prone, to the manipulation by sick people. This hadith is transmitted by Sheikh al-Kulaini from the asl of Abu Sa'id al-Usfuri. Abu Sa'id Abbad al-Usfuri. In hadith number 6, it's recorded 11 descendants from Imam Ali correctly. Now, in hadith number 17 and hadith number 18, as it will be shown, there is a mistake. Hadith number 17 and 18, they are from the same asl. But guess what? Hadith number 17 and 18, they mention 12 descendants from Imam Ali. But when you go to the asl, in other words, the asl, these are books that were written before Al-Kafi. And these are like the references that our scholars used from the companions of the Imams in order to compile books for us. So these are like the primary sources of Shia hadith literature. This asl, by the way, we had, the 400 usul. Most of them did not survive. But we have 16 that survived. One of them is the asl of Abbad al-Usfuri. And in this asl, we still have it today. We have the asl today. So if you compare the asl of the ahadith, in other words, where Sheikh al-Kulaini got the hadith he mentioned in Al-Kafi, that's in the asl of al-Usfuri. In al-Usfuri, it mentions 11 descendants of Imam Ali. But in Sheikh al-Kulaini's Kafi, in hadith 17 and 18 in this chapter, it mentions 12 from the descendants of Imam Ali. So apparently, whoever was writing the scribe, his mind is fixated on 12. 12. We are fixed. The 12 is like, it is in our mind in a subconscious way, where our minds are fixed on 12. So what did he do? Instead of, copying it correctly, he puts 12. But alhamdulillah, we have the evidence, we have the asl, where Al-Kafi got his hadith from, and it's mentioned 11 descendants. But now, even to make things, very worse and very embarrassing for this fake doctor, in Al-Kafi itself, in hadith number 6, the one I'm just reading now, it mentioned 11 descendants from the descendants of Imam Ali. So in other words, 11 from his descendants plus himself, that makes 12. So this hadith number 6, it's a practical demonstration that there was actually a scribal error. Because hadith number 6 copies correctly from the asl. 17 and 18 they are not copied correctly. So it shows through internal evidence, even in Al-Kafi, that there is a difference in this ahadith, and therefore, the ones that do not conform to the original source, it's a scribal error. But Khalil didn't mention this because he's a liar. That's why. He's not an honest person. He's never been an honest person. So you can actually read the hadith. I will move on to hadith number, or I can just quickly read hadith number 6 from Abi Sa'id al-Usfuri, from Amr bin Thabit, from Abu Hamza, who has said the following: I heard Ali bin al-Hussein alayhi salam say, Allah created Muhammad, Ali, and the 11 Imams from his descendants out of the light of his greatness. Very clear. Do we need, can we, can a hadith be more clear than this? Does any school of thought or any sect in Islam has this treasure that we have? None. None of the sects. We're the only ones. I know some of the brothers want to come up, to contribute, but I have, a long way to go. So just be patient with me, inshallah. Once I'm done with my presentation and the brothers also on the stage, then we can have a discussion. It's not a problem. So I will move on to hadith number 7. Hadith number 7, the grading is majhul. This hadith is also found where? In Basair al-Darajat. The 12 Imams, they are all from the family of Muhammad. This is what the hadith says. They are all muhaddathun. They are inspired from the descendant of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, and the descendant of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and Imam Ali alayhi salam are their ancestors. The first statement, the 12 Imams, they are all from the family of Muhammad. This is one description. You take it independently. Then another description, they are all muhaddathun. They are all muhaddathun. They are inspired from the descendant of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and the descendant of Imam Ali. So now, this statement, it means that they are descendants of Imam Ali, they are descendants of Rasulullah. Does it mean all the 12 are descendants of the Prophet? Not necessarily. It doesn't indicate that. Why? In the Arabic language, there is a rule. There is something called taghlib. There is the majority rule. And this is even found in the Holy Quran. And even the statement that is actually found in this hadith that Rasulullah and Imam Ali alayhi salam, they are the ancestors. Guess what? This is actually found in Ismaili hadith. This is found in Ismaili hadith, and I will show you shortly. So, in the Quran, for example, there is a verse in Surah number 14, verse number 13. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِرُسُلِهِمْ لَنُخْرِجَنَّكُمْ مِنْ أَرْضِنَا أَوْ لَتَعُودُنَّ فِي مِلَّتِنَا فَأَوْحَى إِلَيْهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ لَنُهْلِكَنَّ الظَّالِمِينَ. And those who disbelieved said to their messengers, we will surely drive you out of our land, or you must return to our religion. So their Lord inspired to them, we will surely destroy the wrongdoers. Now, look at the statement that the evildoers, they told the messengers of God, we are either going to drive you out or you must return. Okay? The word used in Arabic, لَتَعُودُنَّ فِي مِلَّتِنَا. You will come back to our path. Now, do we believe that any prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or any messenger was a mushrik kafir? No. So in other words, there is, the majority, the taghlib that is used here, the generalization. This is one example. And by the way, the Christians, they use this issue, as you will see shortly, with another verse. The other verse is Surah number 15, verses 30 to 31. فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى أَن يَكُونَ مَعَ السَّاجِدِينَ. So the angels, they prostrated, all of them entirely, except Iblis. He refused to be with those who prostrated. You know why this is actually an issue? Because in the Holy Quran, in another verse of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He calls Iblis a jinn. Iblis is from the jinn. Iblis was not an angel. But what we can conclude from this verse is that even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is generalizing and saying, فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ أَجْمَعُونَ إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى أَنْ يَكُونَ مَعَ السَّاجِدِينَ, we can actually interpret this verse to say that even though Iblis was not an angel, and Allah is saying all the angels prostrated except Iblis, even though Iblis was not an angel, but Iblis was among those who were meant to prostrate, and he refused to prostrate. So this is the idea. Now, in Sharh al-Akhbar of Qadi Nu'mani, a Fatimid era Ismaili scholar, he mentioned a very long hadith of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, in this hadith, he said, the messenger of Allah is our senior father, and Imam Ali is our junior father. This is what Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam is saying. So this goes to match the hadith that we have in Al-Kafi, that Imam Ali salawatullah alayhi and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, they are the fathers of the A'imma, of the Imams. So if this is confusing, Khalil the snake Andani, the Agha Khani, Murtad, Zindiq, we can also play, with the hadith that is found in Sharh al-Akhbar of Al-Qadi Nu'man. I don't want to use statements that are not befitting when I'm talking about the Imams alayhimus salam. So I wouldn't try to, use a manipulative mind in order to start, questioning this hadith. Maybe, dirty people like we've witnessed even on Clubhouse, like the people who try to manipulate the hadith of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam and Imam al-Rida alayhi salam. When Imam al-Rida was passing away, they tried to sexualize this hadith, astaghfirullah. So I'm not going, to say, oh, you know what, Ismailis, you filthy. Look at what this hadith is saying. Your Imams have junior and senior fathers? Astaghfirullah. This is, how this is the dirtiness that Khalil is actually displaying here in trying to be manipulative. But anyway, I will move to hadith number 8. Hadith number 8, it says, إن لهذه الأمة 12 إماما هدى من ذرية نبيها وهم مني. Imam Ali alayhi salam is saying, for this ummah, there are 12 imams from the descendants of the Holy Prophet, and they are also from me. They are also my descendants. For this ummah are 12 guided imams from the descendants of the Prophet and from me. Now, let's check the grading. This hadith is graded by Allama al-Majlisi in Mir'at al-Uqul, volume 6, page 223. The explanation is given by Allama al-Majlisi in Mir'at al-Uqul, volume 6, page 226. He said, his statement, peace be upon him, from the descendants of the Prophet, from the apparent, it looks like, all of the 12 are from the descendants of the Prophet. And this is not correct. And this can be explained in several ways in what has come into his mind, or what came into his mind. The first point, he said, when the questioner, that's the Haruni, this is also about the Jewish man or the Jewish boy that was actually questioning Imam Ali alayhi salam. He said, when the questioner learned of the abundance of the Imam's knowledge, peace be upon him, and what he saw of the effects of the Imama and the Wilaya in Imam Ali alayhi salam, he knew that Imam Ali was the first of the guardians, peace be upon him. It is as if he was asked about the remaining Imams. So what was meant? If you read the Hadith, you will understand what I'm saying. And it's in the chapter that was earlier pinned from Al-Kafi. So Imam Ali has already proven that he is the first. He has already told him that there are 12. He is the first. This is known. This is established. There are 12. The Haruni already knows the number 12. He knows Imam Ali is the first. Now, who are the remaining ones? Is it Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib? Is it Ja'far? Is it who? The descendant of Ja'far? Who? Aqil? Who exactly? So Imam Ali is talking about the remainder. And this will be explained. Allama al-Majlisi mentioned 4 points. Now, the first point and the fourth point, they are very important. So he said, when the questioner learned of the abundance of his knowledge and what he saw of the effects of the imamah and guardianship in him, he knew that he was the first of the guardians, peace be upon them, or peace be upon him. It is as if he was asked about the remaining imams. So what was meant by the 12 was the completion of the 12, not in total after the first. And there is no doubt that they are from the descendant of the Prophet. And also they are from the descendant of Imam Ali alayhi salam. The second point, he said, he's saying that they are, they are descendant, the 12 are the descendant of the Prophet, and also they are from me. So this saying can also be explained as majaz in Arabic. In other words, it's figurative or metaphorical. And taghlib, which I already touched on even from the Quran. Since most of them are descendants of the Prophet, he applied it to everyone, which is normal in the Arabic language, as the verse of the Quran, which, from the apparent, it actually portrayed Iblis as an angel, but he's not an angel. Then he said the word offspring is permissible to be used. So what is meant is metaphorical, because it covers the literal and the figurative birth. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the father of the entire nation, especially with regard to the commander of the faithful, as he was a guardian parent and his teacher. That's of Imam Ali. Rasulullah brought him up. Just as the Prophet used to say to Fatima, the daughter of Asad, that's the mother of Imam Ali, alayhi salam, my mother, that's what Rasulullah used to call the mother of Imam Ali. And it has been mentioned that the Prophet and the commander of the faithful, Imam Ali alayhi salam, they are the fathers of this nation, because they were the fathers of knowledge and wisdom. And this is the metaphorical relationship. Then the fourth point, he said, from the descendants of the Prophet can be a declarative statement with an omitted subject. That is the rest of them. When Imam Ali was saying, and they are from the descendants of the Prophet and they are from me. So this is a declarative statement. When you're talking, sometimes you don't go into every detail. You can be indicating someone or something without actually mentioning it. This is what Allama al-Majlisi is saying. So from the phrase or the expression from the descendants of the Prophet can be a declarative statement with an omitted subject. That is the rest of them, which is indicated by the pronoun they, in Arabic, hum. So this hum, Imam Ali is using hum, the pronoun in the hadith, to indicate the remaining, even though it's not stated. They are from the descendant of the Prophet. The pronoun indicates the majority or taghlib rule, and this is used in indicating their mother, meaning Fatima alayhi salam, their grandmother, meaning Khadija alayhi salam, because it is necessary to make some advanced grammatical deviation therein, since the first imam is already apparent to the audience, and the word min or from can indicate the rest. And this can be supported by the statement of the Prophet that Ali is the father of my descendants. Very easy. But, when somebody is actually, his mind is dirty, he's dishonest, he wants the fault, he wants to play. It's not with us, ya Zindiq. You can't play with us. If you play with us, It wouldn't be nice for you. Look, look at how a PhD holder, a supposed PhD holder, is being disgraced, humiliated. This is a humiliation for him. Humiliation, complete humiliation. Look, translation problem, misinterpretation problem. Did you bother, before you touch on the ahadith of Al-Kafi, did you bother to open Mir'at al-Uqul to see, for the benefit of doubt? Let me see, tell yourself, for example, I want to see what Allama al-Majlisi said, since Allama al-Majlisi, he explained the ahadith of Al-Kafi. Did you do that? No, you don't. Or you did it, but you don't care. Because your mission, your motive is to confuse the gullible people. This is how much of an insincere person this person is. I will move to hadith number 9. Hadith number 9 is da'if. So it says in the matin, the content of the hadith, once I went to see Fatima alayhi salam, and I saw her with a tablet. This is Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari, in which the names of the executors of the will from her descendant were written. This is one statement. The tablet the Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam was having, and by the way, hadith number 9 is da'if, in case I forgot to mention that. So the tablet contains the names of the imams from her descendants. Look at what Jabir said, another statement, another claim. I then counted them to be 12. Then what did he say? The last one's name was Al-Qa'im. Then he makes another claim. He said the names of 3 of them was Muhammad, and the names of another 3 was Ali. So from her descendants, you have 3 Muhammad, you have 3 Ali, 3 imams called Muhammad, and 3 imams called Ali, afwan. So now, does this, can you really make a case here that there are actually more than 12 imams? Yes, if you're manipulative and you want to take this hadith as an island in isolation, yes, you can make this claim. But this will be wrong, because it's not only this one hadith that exists in Shia Islam. This will be a wrong reading. It's a wrong interpretation, because you don't take a hadith in isolation. This is the way, if you want to interpret this hadith to indicate either 13 imams or to say the 3 Alis include the first imam to the 12th, excluding Imam Ali, then you can do this. But you can only do this if this is the only hadith that exists in the history of Tashayyu'. In other words, if we have no other hadith, whereby even in this chapter, the hadith number 3, on the tablet of the names, what is mentioned there? That the name of her husband is mentioned. So we already know the name of Imam Ali alayhi salam is mentioned. So if 3 Alis are of her descendants and the name of Imam Ali in hadith number 3 is also mentioned, it means we have 4 Alis. So if you find a hadith that says 3 Alis and 3 Muhammads, it is correct. The 3 Alis are from her descendants and 3 Muhammads. And if you see a hadith that says 3 Muhammads and 4 Alis, it's also correct. Because we have hadith that her husband's name is also on the tablet. So what's the problem here? What are you playing? There's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with the way this hadith is worded. Only a sick person will try to use, a misinterpretation, ambiguity, as a way to insert meanings into the hadith. The names of the executors of the will, they are her descendants. The total number is 12. The last is the Qa'im. 3 Muhammads and 3 Alis are from her descendants. We already know from hadith number 3 that the first Imam, her husband, his name is also there, and he's not her descendant. So if we combine or reconcile hadith number 3 and hadith number 9, we would see there is no contradiction, there is no alteration. If we read the hadith that mention 3 Muhammads and 3 Alis, or the ones that mention 3 Muhammads or 4 Alis, where 4 Alis are mentioned, it's not said they are from her descendants. The phrase from her descendants does not appear. It only appears for the 3. So we know from both Sunni and Shia narrations, hadith is oftentimes transmitted in meaning, bil ma'na. It's not verbatim. Hadiths are not transmitted. Even Bukhari, all the hadiths, they are not transmitted verbatim, word for word. They are transmitted bil ma'na, in meaning. Also, if we are to use the interpretation of, this person, it's also a problem, for the Agha with this wrong interpretation of Andani about 3 or 4 Alis, and excluding Imam Ali alayhi salam. Anyone can also make the claim that, Imam Ali was not an Imam, and there were 12 Imams, excluding him, to make a total of, 12, not 13, 12, but not with Imam Ali, without Imam Ali. So since he's completely, he's disregarding the fact that this hadith is not the only hadith that exists. And there is more than one way to actually interpret this hadith. And the Shia can still correctly interpret this hadith to prove there were 12 Imams, and Imam Ali was the first, and Imam al-Mahdi was the last. We can still prove, you can still use, different interpretations. So the Agha Khani, he's actually disregarding the correct interpretation that the 3 Alis refer to the Imams from the descendant of Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. In addition to the first, who is also named Ali, and it is mentioned his name was also found on the tablet based on hadith number 3. But if we are to disregard the fact there is a correct way to interpret the hadith, and if we are also to disregard the fact that there are numerous other hadiths that Imam Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam was an Imam, like the Agha Khani is disregarding this fact, which states, categorically that the Imams are 12, and not one that states that the Imams are 13, or mentioning, the word 13, or, mentioning 13 name. This misinterpretation of this hadith, there's a point here. It can be used against the Agha Khani. Anyone can come and tell them, Agha Khanis, you consider Imam Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam to be the first Imam. No, he was not an Imam. So this is also a problem for you. How are you going to explain it? Especially because you have poor materials. You don't even, aside from the book, maybe the books of Qadi Nu'man and some historical books, what ahadith do you have to prove that Imam Ali alayhi salam was an Imam? If you take it to any serious hadith scholar, you don't have anything. Khanis don't have anything. So this is also a problem for you. Yalla, come and prove the Imam of Imam Ali. Tomorrow face a Sunni. I hope the Sunnis will actually face Khalil and Dani. I hope the Sunnis are listening. Because, they go to him and he gives them, some baseless arguments and some baseless materials to use against us. So now I'm telling the Sunnis, if they are listening, go to Khalil and Dani, go to the Agha Khanis, tell him to prove the Imamah of Imam Ali. Let's see if he can do it. They rely on us to prove the Imamah of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They cannot do it. And now he's trying to bite the finger that fits him. This is what he's doing. So if the expression 3 Alis from her progeny is used, this is correct. If the hadith is transmitted, not verbatim, but in its meaning, or the ma'na, to say there are 3 Muhammads and 4 Alis, without the expression from her progeny, this mode of transmission in meaning or ma'na will also be correct. And this mode of transmission is not considered as a form of alteration or tampering. By both Sunni and Shia scholars, they don't consider this kind of transmission of hadith as tampering. Khalil was apparently, he was accusing our scholars or hinting, of tampering, of dishonesty. Then at some point, he said, he doesn't mean the scholars are actually changing the hadith, but, they are picking an altered version. If they are altered versions, who altered them? This isn't a case of alteration. It's a case of transmitting the hadith based on its meaning. And from hadith number 3, we know the name of Imam Ali is mentioned. And we know there are 3 Alis from the descendant of Sayyidah Fatima. So both transmissions will be right. Hadith number 10. This hadith is explicit. The successors of the Prophet are 12. And this hadith is not subject or prone to ambiguity or manipulation. Hadith number 11 and hadith number 12 and hadith number 13. They are graded as da'if ala al-mashhur. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, I and 11 persons from my descendants, they are all imams, they are muhaddathun, people that the angels speak to. This statement is not prone to ambiguity. So in hadith number 11, and the word of the Prophet in hadith number 12, in hadith number 11, when the Imam mentioned himself, and he added 11 of his descendants, this make a total of 12. So this hadith, there is no problem here. 11, 12, and 13, no problem at all. And this is clear. And he's not talking here in a collective sense, that they are, my offspring are 12. No, he's saying I and 11 of my descendants. Very clear. Hadith number 14, same thing. It's not subject to manipulation. Hadith number 15, it is Hasan kal Sahih. I heard Abu Ja'far say after Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, there will be 9 imams. The 9th of them will be al-Qa'im, the one who will rise with divine authority. This also is not subject to manipulation. But now this hadith is even a problem for him, because if the Imam is saying 9 of the descendants of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, they are imams, then you have 9 after Imam Hussein. Then the 12th is the last. Very clear. And this is sahih. This is a very strong narration. This is a problem for him. How are you going to, even the descendants of Imam Hussein, they are numbered, who are imams. They are 9. So how are you going to, say, well, Imam Ali was not, and then we start counting from Imam al-Hasan. If we count Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, these are 2. If you add 9 to the descendants of Imam Hussein, they are 11. So this will be a problem. There is Michael in the audience. I believe this could be our friend. Okay. With a new account. Anyway, we move on to hadith number 16. It's da'if ala al-mashhur, and the same thing, it's clear, no ambiguity. Hadith number 17, it's da'if. The hadith is from the asl of Abbad Abu Sa'id al-Usfuri. Okay? This hadith number 17 and hadith number 18, they contain scribal error. Hadith number 6 is also from the asl. Hadith number 6, Imam Ali said, I and 11 descendants. They are the imams. Hadith number 17 and 18, the Prophet is saying, I and 12 persons from my descendants, and you, O Ali, are the securing anchor of the earth. That is the pillars. They are of its ropes. Through us, Allah has secured the earth from devouring the inhabitants. Now, we have the asl, to prove that 17 and 18, they are actually scribal errors. But even if we want to assume that this is not a scribal error, of course, if you go to the asl, you will see it's a scribal error. But let's assume it's not scribal error. Let's play the game of the Agha Khani. He wants to interpret it the way he likes. طيب. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he's not using the word imam, he's not using the word wasi in this hadith. He said, Inni wa ahada ashara min wuldi wa anta ya Ali zirrul ard. So if we want to use, the manna, we can say, well, the Prophet said, they are the anchors of the earth. We believe Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, she's ma'suma, she's a hujjah, she's the hujjah upon the imams. We have a hadith that the imams are hujjah upon us and Sayyidah Fatima is the hujjah upon the imams. So we can say, the Prophet meant Sayyidah Fatima is one of the hujjaj. She's not an imam, but she's a hujjah. How are you going to solve this? It's not a problem for us. But of course, clearly, 17 and 18, you can check, the asl. You can check actually the asl, and you can see that there is actually a scribal error. Because if you go, for example, to the asl, which I believe brother Ahmed, Sayyid Ahmed has actually pinned, al-usul al-16 min usul al-awwaliyah. So if you actually check here, you find in the asl, قال رسول الله من ولد 11 نقيبا نجباء محدثون مفهمون آخرهم القائم بالحق يملأها عدلا كما ملئت جورا. So we are here, we are demonstrating by showing you what is in Al-Kafi and what is in the Asl from where Sheikh Al-Kulaini got his hadith for Al-Kafi. We are demonstrating here, practical demonstration. 2 hadiths, the Sas and the hadith in Al-Kafi, and they are different. So it means Sheikh Al-Kulaini, or those who came after him who handled his book, they must have made a scribal error. So we've demonstrated this. Now I go to hadith number 19. The chain is da'if. It's not prone or subject, to manipulation. Hadith number 20, same thing. There is no manipulation here. So based on this 20 hadiths that I've quickly, I tried my best to go through them. Hadith number 7 and hadith number 8, if you interpret them correctly, they still indicate 12 imams. They indicate 12 imams with the correct interpretation. When interpreted wrongly, they will indicate 12 imams, excluding Imam Ali alayhi salam, which of course sick-minded people like Khalil the Snake and Dani has done. Now, hadith number 17, hadith number 18 in Al-Kafi, which we practically demonstrated by showing the origin of the hadith in the asl of Abu Sa'id al-Usfuri, show that there are scribal errors. 11 is replaced with 12 from the descendants of Imam Ali, while hadith number 6 is perfectly copied in Al-Kafi, indicating 11 from the descendants of Imam Ali. Hadith number 9 and hadith number 14, they are not ambiguous, as Khalil is claiming. So the entire problem here, that we can say, Khalil is clutching at straws. You have hadith 7 and 8, which can be interpreted in different ways. And you have 17 and 18 with scribal errors. This is the size of the problem, that this man is trying to fabricate history. He's trying to make a presentation. He's giving you graphs. He's putting a computer in front of him. He's, showing a pseudo conference of, some alleged 12ers who were actually, donkeys enough to listen to him. No apologies here. Whoever wants to, hit his head on the wall from the so-called Al-Mahdi Institute, they should listen to this. If you like, go tell them I'm passing takfir on them. I don't care. Because when he was actually talking this nonsense, they should have actually stood up and shut him up. That's if it was a sincere conference, and it was not an arranged conference. That's what they should have done. They should have stood up like men and defend their imams. This is what they should do. So, then the Agha Khani, what did he do? After, going through this ahadith, of course, this is, even if you want to go to Al-Kitab Sulaim and the one hadith in Kifayatul Athar, it's the same thing. This is the same issue. Either mistranslation, or there is another translation that can also indicate 12, including Imam Ali, or scribal error. This is the entire issue with this ahadith, this so-called ahadith of 13 imams, when we don't have one hadith mentioned in number 13, one hadith mentioned in 13 names. So the Agha Khani, he concluded, he said, his, quote unquote, historical conclusion. And of course, this is not historical conclusion. This is a lie. He's saying his historical conclusion is that there was another 12 faction, he quoted from a book called Kitab al-Shajara of an Ismaili so-called historian called Abu Tammam, wherein it is claimed that there was a faction of 12ers who did not believe that Imam Ali alayhi salam was the first Imam, but that he was the wasi, the legatee, and an Imam. So he combined, the wasiyya and the imama, as if they are different. Abu Tammam mentioned the Imam after Imam Hassan al-Askari as Muhammad ibn al-Hassan al-Mahdi, Ajalallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif. That's our 12th Imam. Then he said, the Qa'im who will rise will be his son. So what he has done here, he places Imam Ali one side, and he says Imam Ali is the first, and then our 12th Imam, he makes him the 11th, and then he gives him a son and makes him the 12th. He differentiates between the Mahdi, who is the 11th, and the Qa'im, who is the 12th. And he says what? There was a faction. I will tell you why he did this. This is an Ismaili heresy. Okay? This is an Ismaili heresy that he's trying to smuggle into 12 Ithna Ashari Shia Islam. This is what he's trying to do. In all the historical records of both the Shia and the Sunnis, documenting the factions, the groups, or the sects, whatever you want to call them, that arose in the history of Tashayyu, especially after the passing away of Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, we have no evidence that there was any group of 12ers or Shias who discarded Imam Ali alayhi salam as the first Imam. None whatsoever. There is no evidence either that there was any Shia or 12er group that believed the Qa'im who will establish justice on earth is different from the Mahdi, who we believe is the 12th Imam. If, for example, we look into the books of Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti, he lived in Baghdad at the time of the minor occultation, and perhaps even in the time of Imam al-Askari, depending on the date that is allotted to him as the date of his birth. There is no mention in his book, in Firaq al-Shia, which documents the history of the different groups of the Shias that existed throughout history. There is not one group, there is not one that believed Imam Ali alayhi salam was not their first Imam. It doesn't exist. Where are you going to get this from? From the market? We are talking of Hassan ibn Musa al-Nawbakhti. He was a contemporary. He lived in Baghdad, in Iraq. Therefore, we can conclude from this that Abu Tammam, the so-called Abu Tammam, he was likely, he was mistaken. That's if we want to consider this an innocent mistake. He was mistaken. Or, guess what? He was speaking in order to buttress his Ismaili heresy. Or he was speaking, from his whims and caprices. One option. But definitely, there is no fact. This is not history. Maybe Abu Tammam didn't know that the Shias believe that the Mahdi and the Qa'im, they are the same person. Of course, we have hadith. I will give you the hadith. Now, somebody might ask, why am I saying that he was trying to support his heresy by concocting fake history or a lie and creating an imaginary group? Why am I saying this? Do you know why? He's saying a group existed among the 12ers. They remove Imam Ali from the list of Imams. Do you know also who removes an Imam from the list of Imams? The Nizari, Agha, Khani, Ismailis. They remove Imam al-Hassan. To them, Imam al-Hassan, alayhi salam, is one of Ahlul Kisa. He is not an Imam. He's a mustawda. Yani he was like, he was like a caretaker, like an errand boy. Astaghfirullah. This is how, they insult Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. They don't consider Imam al-Hassan to be an Imam. Okay? This is point number one. So with this point, we are going to trace how he's trying to buttress his heresy further. So, of course, Abu Tamam and his student, that's Khalil, they are trying, to create some similitude between the 12 Shias and the Ismaili Agha Khanis. Likewise, guess what? In Ismailism, their 11th Imam is called Abdullah. Okay? Abdullah what? Al-Mahdi. He is given the title of Al-Mahdi. His son, their 12th Imam, that's excluding Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam from their list of counting the Imams, their 12th Imam was given the title by his father, Al-Qa'im bi Amrillah. So do you understand? So to the Ismailis who have excluded Imam al-Hasan, the 11th, he carries the title of Al-Mahdi. The 12th was given the title of Al-Qa'im. And this is documented in history, by the way. I will give you a reference. Even though I don't have the link to the book, and you can download the book online or you can buy it, there is a Western historian who mentioned this. The father, the 11th Imam of the Agha Khanis or the Fatimids, he didn't want, the pressure of proving that he was the Mahdi, who was going to, spread justice and, equity on the earth. He carries the title of Al-Mahdi. And he is supposed to be the 12th with Imam al-Hasan. So, conveniently, ex-Imam al-Hasan, put him aside. Because there is a hadith in one of their books that mentions about the Qa'im being what? Between the 5th and after him the 7th. In other words, by the 12th Imam, the Qa'im should rise. So if the 11th, he's actually denying and he's saying, my friends, yes, I am the Mahdi, but guess what? I'm not the Qa'im. I am the Mahdi, but I am not the Qa'im. So, they give him discount. They remove Imam al-Hasan from the list. And say, well, my friend, who is the Qa'im? Like, oh, my son is the Qa'im. So he shifted the function and the responsibility of the Qa'im. He shifted it to his son. So he separates between the function of the Mahdi and the function of the Qa'im. So this Abu Tammam, most likely, he actually falsified and created this imaginary 12 sect that believed, in 13 Imams, technically, in order to say, Ismailis, our Mahdi, their fake Mahdi, that's their 11th Imam. Well, he's right, he's the Mahdi and his son is the Qa'im. The Shias, the 12ers, they have a similar claim. We don't have it. So this is the game. The entire issue of making his lecture, it's not to prove that, Shias believe in 13 Imams. No, we don't. It's not even, to prove that there was, a sect. That's not the utmost aim of his lecture. The utmost aim is to actually buttress his heresy. But he didn't declare that. He didn't state it. Okay? Now, someone may actually ask, do we have a hadith where the Mahdi and the Qa'im, they're the same person? The answer is yes. If you go to Kamal al-Din of Sheikh al-Saduq, volume 2, page 377, in a dialogue that actually happened between Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam and Abdul Azim al-Hassani, a Sayyid, Hassani Sayyid, who was a follower of the Imams alayhi salam, Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, he made it clear that the Qa'im is the Mahdi. He stated it to him. So, this, sneaky Ismailis, they are trying to, validate their heresy by fabricating a non-existent 12 sect. To perhaps, most likely, to make a statement that there are two parallel lists of 12 Imams. And this non-existent 12 sect, which has died out, clinged to the doctrine which the Ismailis have, to this day, which they practicalize to this day. That, they list their imams by excluding one. They exclude Imam al-Hassan. And to them, the 11th is the Mahdi and the 12th is the Qa'im. They separate, Why is this relevant in Ismaili doctrines? If you go to a book that is written by their scholar, who is known as Qadi Nu'man, it's called Sharh al-Akhbar, Volume 1, page 32, in the Fatimid era. I think Sayyid will pin it. Sayyid Ahmed, I think you've not pinned Sayyid.
Yes, Sayyid.
I think you need to change this. There's Sharh al-Akhbar.
1 second, I'm trying to find the.
Oh, I think I didn't. It's much later. Okay. I think you perhaps have to go down, I think. Well, anyway, we'll get to that. But anyway, if you go to Sharh al-Akhbar, it's in, library.shia, the online Shia library. There is a hadith which Qadi Nu'man, he narrated. He attributed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. لا بد من قائم من ولد فاطمة من المغرب بين الخمسة إلى السبعة. He said, Rasulullah said, there is no way except that there is a qa'im that will rise from the children of Fatima alayhi salam from the Maghrib. That's from North Africa. In between the 5th to the 7th. In other words, you count 5, and then after 7, from the 5th to the 7th. Okay? Now, this can be, this is why, they had to drop Imam al-Hassan. Because if you don't drop Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, and their 11th, thank you, I think Sayyid has pinned it, and their 11th Imam is claiming to be the Mahdi but not the Qa'im, save me from the responsibility of, conquering the earth. So this is the reason they drop Imam al-Hassan. So perhaps this Abu Tammam, in order to buttress and prove the validity of what his Khalifa did, he concocted this, non-existent, imaginary 12 sect that makes the Mahdi to be the 11th and the Qa'im to be the 12th. So the hadith says in Sharh al-Akhbar of the Fatimid scholar, Qadi Nu'man, that there is no way except that the Qa'im will rise from the children of Fatima from al-Maghrib, in between the 5th to the 7th. To the 7th, okay? The translation, it says the translation should be in between the 5th to the 7th, not and the 7th. Like, some people might say, it's in between the 5th and the 7th. No, to. Because if you actually translate it correctly, this hadith actually can prove our own doctrine to be correct. It can prove that the 12th is the Qa'im. And he's the Mahdi. But they have divided the titles, to the 11th and 12th. And, the statement that he's from Bilad al-Maghrib, we have a hadith that the Imam, the Qa'im al-Mahdi, his mother is actually from North African ancestry. We have a hadith like that. So if we are to take this hadith at face value and say, no, it's not a fabrication to endorse the Fatimid caliphs, this can also, prove our doctrine, because our Imam, his mother is from North Africa, based on a certain narration. Of course, not, the narration of the Roman princess and all that. I'm talking of a reliable narration, which we have, that his mother is from North Africa, and she'll be a slave girl. This is what we have. And we believe Imam al-Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam was given a girl by his aunt, and he actually married her, and she got pregnant with the Imam alayhi salam. Okay? So according to the Ismailis, the Mahdi is the 11th and the Qa'im is the 12th, excluding Imam al-Hassan from their list of Imams. Otherwise, since they differentiate between the personalities and functions in their list between the Mahdi and the Qa'im, if they had included Imam al-Hassan, their so-called Qa'im would have been the 13th. So it wouldn't fit the hadith, 7 plus 5 or 5 plus 7. So it is evidently clear that Abu Tammam, if it was not a mistake, and if it was not a lie that was told to him, it is evident that Abu Tammam was trying to appeal to a non-existent Shia 12 sect that excluded an Imam and makes a distinction between the Mahdi and the Qa'im to support his Ismaili theological heresy of separating the titles of Mahdi and Qa'im. Now, there is a German historian. His name is Hans Halma. Hans, just like Hans Ketchup, H-E-I-N-Z, Halma, H-A-L-M-A. He's a German historian and scholar. He specialized on Shia Islam, studying Shia Islam and Ismailism and the Shia sects. He has a book. The book is called The Empire of the Mahdi, The Rise of the Fatimids. On page 144 to 145, he actually indicated, he said, the choice of the title of Al-Mahdi for the 11th Ismaili Fatimid Caliph, while his son took the title of Al-Qa'im, was a subtle ploy by the new Caliph, that's the 11th, the first Fatimid Caliph. It was a ploy by the new Caliph to shift the millennialist expectations of his followers onto his son. So he's like, you want to be the Mahdi? If you want to be the Mahdi, it's a responsibility. So what does he do? He's a smart guy. Like, oh, you know what? I am the Mahdi, but I'm not the Qa'im. I'm not going to fill the earth with justice and equity as it was filled with oppression, like the Prophet said. So, I will take the title of Al-Qa'im. My son, you handle it. And wallah, he was neither a Mahdi, neither was his son the Qa'im. They are liars. Again, just to kind of summarize, in our books in Kitab Firaq al-Shia, no such claims are this, non-existent 13 or 12 plus 1 sect, or a sect that excluded Imam Ali. In Kitab al-Firaq wal-Maqalat of Sa'ad bin Abdullah al-Ash'ari al-Kummi, no such indication. In Kitab al-Milal wal-Nihal of Sharistani, which also deals with the history, and this is a Sunni source which deals with the history of sects, nothing. And why we cannot actually take this Abu Tammam seriously? Do you know why? Because if you read in his book on page 111, do you know what he said? He said, the Imamiyya are called Rafida because they declined to revolt with Zayd. This is a spurious claim. This is not a historical fact. It's not accurate that we are called Rafida because we refuse to revolt with Zayd. No, this is not the reason. We're called Rafida because we reject the oppressors. Now, if Zayd, was in Taqiyya, whatever the story was, it's not because we rejected Zayd. He's making, a very silly claim here. At least the wording is not accurate. He also has, in his book, some weird groupings. Like, for example, he calls the Proto-12ers the Mufaddaliyya. I think he attributes us to Mufaddal bin Umar. And he only mentioned, 5 groups, I think 5 groups of Shias. In actuality, the books of Al-Nawbakhti, Al-Ash'ari al-Kummi, if you go and read these books, they mention 14 groups only after the death of Imam al-Hasan al-Askari alayhi salam. And if we are to accept for argument's sake that there was such a group as 13ers, our responses on taking certain hadiths out of context by them will be the same as our responses to Khalil, trying to manipulate our hadiths based on, which are based on scribal errors and misinterpretation. And then, he uses manipulation to, present them as historical facts. He is in essence, making he's making theological arguments here while hiding behind the cloak, of history. Oh, I am an innocent historian. He's hiding behind history. But he's making a theological case in order to confuse, the gullible 12ers who will fall victims to his antics. He's definitely making, some theological arguments here. Because he knows very well that theologically his claims will be destroyed, just like we are doing here. So he gives a so-called, personalized individual historical reading. Wherein, even if he sounds, utterly dumb, utterly dishonest and manipulative, he can say, well, he's a fallible person. This is how I see things. This is what he's trying to do. This is how I see things. On the issue of Imam Ali alayhi salam being the first of the 12 Imams, do we have a hadith where Imam Ali alayhi salam is mentioned categorically that he is the first Imam? Yes. And it's a very early source, Basair al-Darajat. Maybe he should have spent, I'm sure he did. I wouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe he didn't know that this hadith exists. No, I'm sure he knows. Well, it's not, to his benefit for him to actually touch on this hadith when he's trying to be manipulative. Look no further, go to Basair al-Darajat, check page 319 under the chapter heading of the Imams are inspired and knowledgeable. In hadith number 2, Imam al-Sadiq said, we are 12 inspired persons. Clear cut, we are 12. Not 13, not 14, not 50, not 49. 12. Imam Sadiq mentioned this in hadith number 2. On page 320, hadith number 3, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam was asked, listen to this, was Imam Ali alayhi salam, was he inspired? Was he a muhaddath? Imam Zainul Abidin said yes. And guess what the Imam added? He said, all the Imams from the Ahlul Bayt are inspired. So, if somebody is asking Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, was Imam Ali, was he inspired? And the Imam is saying, yes, all the Imams from the Ahlul Bayt are inspired. So it implies logically that Imam Zainul Abidin is saying that Imam Ali was an Imam from the Ahlul Bayt. So, to conclude on this point, again, there is not one hadith that states the Imams after the Prophet are 13, or after Imam Ali are 13, or Imam Ali is excluded. There is not one hadith that mentions 13 names, neither in number nor in names. In fact, do you know what? Let me give you this hadith from Kitab al-Ghaiba. This is an Ismaili narrator narrating a hadith about 12 Imams. An Ismaili narrator, he praised, Sheikh al-Tusi. In the lecture, he mentioned somewhere, I think it's a praise. He said, most likely, Sheikh al-Tusi had access to, old materials. This is what he said. In this hadith, there is actually pinned, if you also check the explanation of Sheikh al-Tusi, he mentioned that this hadith is actually found in a Waqifi book. Okay, fi Nusrat al-Waqifa. This is the book that Sheikh al-Tusi, rahmatullahi alayh, he copied or he got this hadith from. So in this hadith, just open, there is a box to the left corner of your screen under the hadith, whereby Sheikh al-Tusi made an explanation. The hadith says, Imam Sadiq said, O Sa'id, the Imams are 12. Then, some descriptions that when the 6 of them pass, Allah will give ease to the 7, and 5 persons from us will be the Imams through the 6th. Then the sun, will rise from the west. Sheikh al-Tusi said, this report clarifies that the Imams are 12 in number. And that which is mentioned after, the descriptions, that is the explanation of the narrator according to the Ismailiyya creed. So this is an Ismaili report in a Waqifi book. Sheikh al-Tusi is mentioning the Imams are 12. Tayyib, go explain why Ismailis, whether Tayyibis or Nizaris, why you don't have 12 Imams. Go and explain. Explain to your followers. And this is not all. In the same book I mentioned earlier, in Sharh al-Akhbar of the Fatimid era scholar, Qadi Nu'man, volume 3, page 400, there is a chapter heading irrespective whether the scholar placed it or maybe the commentator on the book placed it. But there's a chapter heading. The Imams are 12. Qadi Nu'man, he quoted two narrations. One from Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, and one from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. The one from Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, and it is pinned. The link has been pinned, you can check it. The one from Imam Zainul Abidin mentions the 12 Mahdis after the Mahdi. This is a classical 12 Shia belief, that there will be 12 Mahdis after the 12th Imam. Now, whether the 12 Mahdis will be from his descendants or they will be his helpers, Allahu A'lam. There is some difference. There is difference of opinion on this. In the hadith from the Prophet, which Qadi Nu'man mentioned, hadith number 1282, the link is pinned, the Prophet said that the nation of Islam or the Ummah of Islam will cease to exist only after the passage of 12 Imams. Yani this world will come to an end when 12 Imams pass. All of them will be from the family of the Prophet. They will all walk on the haqq and on the huda, on guidance, on truth and guidance. After them, ma'as-salam, the world is over. But guess what? Today, Ismailis, they are counting their 49th Imam. 49 Imams. They must have, they must have missed the bus somewhere, or their boss must have missed the bus stop. Except, as they believe, and they want us to become deluded like them, to believe, the claims that the Qiyamah has already taken place and their Mahdi has appeared with the start of the Fatimid state. But, after their Mahdi appeared, today the Ismailis are divided into sects. Yani imagine you go to Jannah and you're divided into sects. Imagine. Or Yawm al-Qiyamah actually takes place and you're still fighting who was the Imam. So, except, if they want us to be deluded. But, and also, the Mahdi, when he appears according to Rasulullah, his role, his primary function, to spread justice and equity on the earth, the way it was filled with oppression and injustice. Do we have justice today on the earth? Just, we are living a period whereby over 30,000 human beings in Gaza have been butchered. Where is their Mahdi? Where is the Agha Khan? Where are the angels? Can't the Agha Khan maybe shake his stick or maybe shake his yacht so that the angels can descend? Can't he do something? We still live in a world, with bloodshed and injustice. And we know from the mutawatir hadith of the Prophet that the Mahdi, even if there is a day that will be remaining, Allah will make it so long. And perhaps we are living that day. That day could be, in Sunni hadith and Shia hadith. That day could be, figurative. Maybe we are living that day that Allah is making so long until the Mahdi spreads justice and equity on the earth. That's why the ghaibah is required for this day to actually take place. Perhaps that day that Allah will make it so long, this is indication of the ghaibah. If you go to Sunan Abi Dawud, you will find the hadith. So, the world we live in today, it has no justice. The Fatimids, they've never ruled the earth. There's injustice everywhere, tyranny everywhere. After the 12th, according to the hadith I read from Al-Qadi Nu'man, there are supposed to be 12 Mahdis. Tayyib, you have 12 Imams. You believe your 11th is the Mahdi, you believe your 12th is the Qa'im. Tayyib, count another 12 Mahdis, 24. You have 49 Imams, and you're still continuing. He still needs the khums, to buy the yacht and to snap with the beautiful models and to pay for the champagne bottles during his wedding. So you have actually, Mr. Khalil, you've actually messed with the wrong set of people. And of course, this is not going to be, the last time you'll be hearing from us. We are going to be, enlightening your followers of why they're actually misguided. This is the end of my presentation. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. I believe Brother Shadi has some contributions to make.
Good job, Sayyid Rafid. So you pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say. There are just a few things that I think is relevant to this whole discussion, is that as Shia Muslims, we don't really rely on, and I say this a lot so people can understand, we don't really rely on singular reports or reports from 1, 2, 3 hadith or 4, 5, whatever. We rely on that which is certain. We as Shia Muslims, we rely on that which gives us certain knowledge for our usul al-din. Now, to say, okay, you have a couple of narrations that could be interpreted as 13 imams, this has really no bearing. For example, if you look at Kitab al-Irshad by Sheikh al-Mufid, he doesn't even mention these narrations to prove the Imama of al-Baqir or al-Sadiq alayhim as-salam. He doesn't even use these narrations, with the exception of the narration of al-Lawh, which is mutawatir. So the proofs for imama, if you like, for the nasus or the number of imams, the number 12 is mutawatir. The fact that there are 12 imams is found in the Ismaili sources, Zaydi sources. You'll find them in Sunni sources, Mu'tazila, who are Shawafi and Ahnaf. You will find that the concept of 12erism or 12 imams is something which is widespread, something which is understood. If you want to compare that to 13, I mean, how are you going to convince a person who is a Shia, by the way, who believes in, first of all, before he even gets to the number of imams, the first thing a Shia person has to do is he has to affirm the concept of imama. The concept of imama is there has to be a ma'asum person, there's the sifat of the imam, the concept of divine authority, who chooses the imam. All of these things are established first. After that, you look for the imam. You ID the imam. And after you have the principles of what an imam should be, which is definitely not Agha Khan, you can identify using intellectual principles, using the idea, or using the concept of justice of Allah, how the imam should be, the clarity of his imamah, the clarity of a hujjah. If something is hujjah for you, it should be clear. You should be able to find that hujjah, or at least know what happened to that hujjah. For example, the 12th imam, alayhi salam, we have clear proof why there was a 12th imam. And this is mentioned by the narrations, which states, if you believe in the, I'll just give you an example. If you believe in the existence of the 11th imam, okay, this is just a foundational belief that you have, and you believe at the same time there must always be an imam on earth, and then you believe at the same time the imam comes from the children of the previous imam. If the 11th imam passes away, it is a logical necessity for you to accept that there is a 12th imam. And if this imam is not out in the open, you have to accept the ghaiba of the imam. This is all just using your mind. It's not going to narrations. And this is exactly what Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says in a very famous speech, which is narrated by both Sunnis and Shias. It's a very famous speech. He said, Allah will not leave this earth without a guide, whether he is out in the open or he is hidden. This is in a famous speech from Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salam, which is quoted by Sheikh al-Tusi and Sheikh al-Nu'mani. So all of these suspicions and shubahat, you have narrations about this and that. These things don't affect a Muslim Shia who believes in standard of evidence has to be something which is certain. So, brothers and sisters, whenever you come across a narration, ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve here? Am I trying to talk about belief? Or am I trying to talk about history? Or am I trying to talk about law? All of these subjects have different tools and different standards of evidence that we require. Now, I don't want to go back through all of the narrations, okay? Because I don't want to bore you guys. We've already been through that with, mashallah, Sayyid Rafid has gone through with it. But I myself looked at some of the things that the person in question was bringing, and this is very, very old. Like, to even call it academic is honestly laughable. I mean, we have people from years and years ago, for example, on Shia chat. I don't know if you guys know what Shia chat is. When we were in our 20s, we were talking about, like, we were sitting around like, oh, looking at this, and this is old information. This is a very old allegation. And the thing I'd like to bring up to Dr. Khalil, if it's true that you're coming from an academic historical perspective, then can you please show me who before 1980, before 1990, or this rise of Orientalism, where there were scholars who actually interpreted these narrations as how you're interpreting them? If you are claiming to be an academic, you're claiming to use the historical method, why are you using polemical methods to do that? You are going into Kitab al-Kafi, using a polemical stance by saying, going into books which debate the Shia, and using their arguments and claiming, oh, it's just a historical academic. What are you talking about? Everything that you've done in your video, which, by the way, I reviewed, is completely polemical. And to say, I'm doing the historical method, why aren't you defining what your historical method is? First of all, as a PhD, you should define your method. You have not. In your video, you haven't defined your methodology. You haven't defined your sources other than the Kitab al-Kafi. You haven't defined really anything. You're talking as if you're on Clubhouse and claiming it's not polemical. It's polemical 100%. Now, just to give you a few examples, I'm not going to go through everything because Sayyid Rafid already mentioned a lot of it. But I want to go to, he said there are 7 narrations in Kitab al-Kafi that allude to 13 Imams. Let's go to a couple of them. 3 of those narrations out of the 7 are literal scribal errors. And it's proven they're scribal errors because if you go back to the earlier source, I'm referring to Hadith number 17 in the chapter what we're talking about, Hadith number 18, and Hadith number 6. All of these narrations come back to the asl of Abu Sa'id al-Asfuri, on Umar bin Thabit, or on the asl from Ibad, or Umar bin Thabit. Okay? Now, by the way, why didn't you go back to the earlier sources? If you want to take the historical method, why didn't you not go and look at, okay, you have these people in the chain, maybe, there's some other sources. Anyone who's gone to Hausa, anyone who has done basic level research, you're a PhD, I don't know what your curriculum was. Anyone who studies like basic isnad analysis within our madhab will know that al-Kafi takes from previous books. Al-Kafi does not come with something new. Al-Kafi takes from the books of the early scholars, from the usul, the 400 usul. It takes from, for example, Basar al-Darajat, which I'll show. And it takes from the usul the asl here, which is Abu Sa'id al-Asfuri. Let's read the narration. The narration is from Muhammad bin Yahya, who was the Shaykh of Al-Quraini, from Muhammad bin Ahmad, who I'm assuming here is Al-Barqi, from Muhammad bin Hussein. It might be someone else, by the way. I think it's, actually, no, it might be someone else, actually. From Muhammad bin Hussein, on Abi Sa'id al-Asfuri, on Amr bin Thabit, on Abi Jarud, عن أبي جعفر عليه السلام قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله إني وإثنى عشر من ولدي وأنت يا علي زر الأرض. What does that mean? يعني أوتادها جبالها بنا أوتاد الله الأرض. With Allah, with you, Ya Ali, we have established the ground that people walk on, the world. إن تسيخ بأهلها فإذا ذهب الاثنى عشر من ولدي ساخت الأرض بأهلها ولم ينظروا عفوا. So this narration says what? It says, Ya Ali, from me, إني وإثنى عشر من ولدي, from me, and from إثنى عشر من ولدي, my children, my descendants, وأنت يا Ali, and you, O Ali. So he got the idea that this is referring to 13. However, if you go back to the asl of Abu Sa'id, which is the source of this narration, you'll find Ithna Ashara is actually 11, not 12. For 17, 18, and 19. Out of the 7 examples that you gave, I went back and did a simple search. 3 of them, like that, went away. Like that. The occurrence of writing 12 in front of Imam in the Nusakh, from the Nusakh who are writing it, happens all the time. This is something which is well known in our school of thought. It happens all the time. It is very common. Because when you're constantly seeing 12 Imams, 12 Imams, 12 Imams, 12 Imams, when the writer, when the compiler or the copier, when he sees the word Imam, he's going to write 12. And this is a very scientific analysis, by the way, historical analysis. If you want to talk about empirical method, this is empiricism 101 for you. I've given you a previous source showing you, demonstrating to you that this has happened even in the most famous book that we have, Kitab al-Kafi. And happened in 3 places. If it happens here, it's going to happen in other places. And al-Kafi is known as the most authentic book in terms of the matan and the isnad. Now, what about the other examples? There's one example that I got shocked by. I don't know why he even brought it up. The narration of the Lawh. The narration of the Lawh, by the way, it's not a singular narration. It's a mutawatir narration, first of all. It's a famous narration we have in our books. It's narrated in our books and in the early books of the non-Shias, by the way. Dr. Khalil. If a hadith is mutawatir, why are you taking a variation of a mutawatir hadith and arguing based upon its scribal variation? Why are you focusing on one variation where the same exact hadith, I'm going to go to it right now. For example, in Ayun Akhbar Rida. Let me read the hadith in question first. So it says, أخبرني, this is the hadith number 9 in Kitab al-Kafi. Okay? It says, أخبرني أبو القاسم جعفر بن محمد, right? عن محمد بن يعقوب, who was the صاحب الكتاب الكافي, صاحب كتاب الكافي. عن محمد بن يحيى, عن محمد بن حسين, عن Ibn Mahbub. Now, Ibn Mahbub here in the chain is probably the book that Khulaini is taking from. Like we're 99% sure of that, because Ibn Mahbub, his compilation was of the first compilation. So we have compilations during Khulaini's time, which was like Sheikh al-Saduq, Sheikh al-Tusi. We have Shahr Ashub, the compilers of that time. For example, you have Basar Darajat, okay, which was a little bit before al-Kafi. Then you have really, really early compilations, which was, for example, you have Ibn Mahbub here, and then you have the compilation of Yunus bin Abdul Rahman, which was actually shown to Ar-Rida. So this hadith is from the asl of Ibn Mahbub. And we can look at the Fihrist of the scholars, and we can see that the fahrist, the tariqah from Ibn Mahbub to the later scholars is exactly this chain. So we know it's just a reference to his book. So what's the hadith? It's from Abu Jarud on Abi Jafar, Muhammad bin Ali alayhi salam, on Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari. Very famous hadith, by the way. دخلت على فاطمة بنت رسول الله عليهم السلام وبين يديها لوح فيه أسماء الأوصياء والأئمة من ولدها فعددت 12 اسما. So I entered so this is a narration where Al-Baqir alayhi salam is talking about what took place between Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari and Fatima. It's a very famous hadith. It's all over our books. What happened? He entered upon the house of Fatima. He said, I found with her a tablet. In it is the names of the awsiya and the names of the imams from her children. So I counted فَعَدَدْتُ 12 اسما آخرهم القائم. Okay. I found from the names of the imams 12. This is the problem with Khalil. Okay. I'm not trying to disparage you at all. If you read Arabic, you would not... Okay, if someone understood Arabic to any type of level, they could see that there's two statements here. And that's given context by the end of the narration. It says, between her hands, I found a tablet. فيه أسماء الأوصياء. That's the first. Number 2. وَالْأَئِمَّةِ مِنْ وَلْدِهَا. How many did we have, guys? We have 2. We have the names of the successors and the imams from her children. It doesn't say أسماء الأوصياء الأئمة. It says وَالْأَئِمَّة. There is a fasl, there is a cut between. This is basic Arabic, by the way. No scholar, by the way, or no previous scholar from before the Orientalists has ever, whether Sunni or Shia or Zaydi or Ismaili, has ever used this narration to say 13 imams, by the way. This is a completely, from the Orientalists with the weak Arabic they graduate from their schools. They read this narration in English. Read it in Arabic. It says, فيه أسماء الأوصياء. That's the first. From the successors. Then from the imams, her children. So I counted 12. 12. Meaning what? Meaning from the successors and from the imams, from her children. I counted 12 names. The last of them is... Sorry, 1 second, guys. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
Dr.
Tfaddal.
Khani. Why didn't you read the end of the narration? It says when it says وآخرهم القاء من ولد فاطمة. Stop. That's it. Now our next statement. ثلاثة منهم محمد وأربعة
Shadi,
منهم
Akhi.
علي.
Shadi.
Yeah.
Akhi, I just want to emphasize on this point. This is a point maybe I didn't indicate. This is a very good
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
القائم من ولدها. So the
أحسن.
qa'im is the last.
من ولد
And
فاطمة.
they are
Yes.
12. So the qa'im
Mm-hmm.
has to be the 12th. It can't be the 13th.
Exactly.
And the first is her husband.
Exactly. And now we continue. Okay, you guys in the chat and the panel, you know Arabic. ثلاثة منهم محمد. How many are from the Muhammad? Name Muhammad. Who's the first Muhammad? Al-Baqir. Okay. Who else? Who do we have? We have Al-Jawad alayhi salam. Then who's the third Muhammad? Al-Qa'im. Muhammad ibn al-Hasan. Now forget that. Pretend that I didn't just say that. 4 Alis. Wondering, what possible sect in Islam has 4 Alis? Out of all of the madhahib in Islam, which sect has 12 imams with 4 Alis? Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ali ibn al-Hussein. Who else? You guys know the rest. Ali al-Rida alayhi salam.
Ali ibn Musa.
And
Ali al-Hadi.
Ali al-Hadi. These are the 4 Alis. The hadith's context is very clear. It's talking about the line of the Shia Ithna Ashari line. Nobody fabricated anything. This is from the book of Ibn Mahbub, which was mutawatir and very widespread. If you want to claim that this is some type of conspiracy, then I can claim that for any religion. I can claim that for any book. I can claim, again, this is not something that we rely on to prove our madhab or to prove our beliefs. We rely on certain proofs which are, not even questionable. This is just, we are humoring you here. Okay? Now, brothers and sisters, to even prove that point further, I can go and find the same exact narration in the books of Ayun Akhbar Rida. Why didn't you go back and look at the other narrations? It says, it doesn't mention min waldiha. You look at Kamal ad-Din from Shaykh al-Saduq. It doesn't mention min waldiha. It just says, دخلت على فاطمة عليه السلام وبين يديها لوح مكتوب فيه أسماء الأوصياء فعددت 12 آخرهم القائم 3 منهم محمد و4 منهم علي عليهم السلام. There is no mention of min waldiha. Why? Because the meaning of the narration is known. Min waldiha is not referring to the 12. Min waldiha is referring to the imams from the names of her children. And this is clear in the Arabic. Again, no scholar, whether Sunni or Shia, before the Orientalists, has used this interpretation. Kitab al-Ghayba, same thing. Kitab al-Ghayba, دخلت على فاطمة. This is Kitab al-Ghayba from Shaykh al-Tusi. From Jabir bin Yazid, okay? From al-Baqir. This is al-Ju'afi from al-Baqir, alayhi salam. From Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari, دخلت على فاطمة عليه السلام. بين يديها لوح فيه أسماء الأوصياء من ولدها, right? الأوصياء من ولدها. فعددت 12 اسما آخرهم القائم 3 منهم محمد و3 منهم علي. So here we find that what min wuldiya here is referring to, the 3 from Muhammad and the 3 from Ali are from her children, not Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So this hadith has variations. It can be talking about the children from all of the imams, from the children of Fatima, who are 3 Muhammads and 3 Alis, or it includes the Awsiya and the Imma from her children, which includes 4 Alis and 3 Muhammads. This is not like weird math or anything. This is very simple to understand. Now, forget all that, what I just said. Forget it. Forget everything I just said. This hadith was clarified in the same book, Kitab al-Kafi. This same narration is clarified. Every single name of the Imam is mentioned in the same book. And it's only 12. This narration is famous, it's mutawatir, it's well known that only 12 is being spoken of. Shaykh al-Mufid says in Kitab al-Irshad, from the proofs of the Imamiyah is the hadith of al-Lawh. It is mutawatir amongst the Shia. This is in Kitab al-Irshad under the chapter of proving the Imamah of al-Baqir. Shaykh al-Mufid says this narration is very famous and authentic and widespread. So this is just a couple of examples. Kitab Sulaim. I'm surprised he mentions Kitab Sulaim because Kitab Sulaim is a 12er book through and through. Kitab Sulaim talks about 12 Imams, and every single place it talks about Imams. When you see any indication of 13 Imams, this is because of a scribal error. The entire book talks about 12 Imams. In fact, when you look at Kitab al-Kafi quotes Kitab Sulaim. Kitab al-Kafi quotes Kitab Sulaim. Why didn't you go back and read that? Kitab al-Kafi says, from Kitab Sulaim, the number of Imams are 12. Ali is the first, and the 12th, so on and so forth. Why didn't you bring that up? Is that also a scribal error? So, brothers and sisters, it's very clear that this is not an academic, historical endeavor. This is a polemical endeavor in order to muddy the waters, to say, okay, the Imamiyya really had, 13 Imams. By the way, the Imamiyya have narrations that say after the death of the 11th Imam, alayhi salam, there will be groups who will come out. Left and right, left and right. Many groups will emerge. But the Imam says something very important, which is, by the way, an intellectual principle that we use today to prove the Imams. He said, but the affair or the Imam will be clear as the day. You will know that there's a ghaibah very clearly. When you use your mind, when you think about it, when you use the arguments from the hadith of the Imams, the previous narrations of the Imams, you will see that the hujjah or the fate of the hujjah is always clear. Allah does not say to you, this is, by the way, this is why Ismaili is, they have a problem with this. They can't answer it. If the hujjah is a hujjah, why is it not clear for you? Why was there a hidden death? Why was there a conspiracy? Is God's religion now a conspiracy that we have to think, okay, his religion is only for a certain group of people at that time? No. The Imam will always be clear. The hujjah will always be clear. You are given an obligation by Allah to know who your authority is. Okay? You have to know who he is. If this is the case, the proof for his imamah is clear. The proof for his authority is clear to the common person. Not to the scholars, not to the people who are experts in the religion, the common person. And this is according to Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. He said, how will we know, what is the signs of the Imam? He said, if you go to the streets of Mecca or Medina and you ask a child, who is the wasi of Musa, or who is the wasi of such and such Imam, they will tell you, we all know the wasi is Fulan. It's clear. The imamah will always be clear. Number two, another sign of imamah. The most knowledgeable person. Why is Al-Baqir, the Imam in Zayd bin Ali is not the Imam? Because Al-Baqir was known to be the most knowledgeable person of his time. Who comes close? So much so that Rasulullah said, Ya Jabir, you will meet a person, this is mutawatir by the way, you will meet a person from my lineage. He will split the knowledge. You will live long enough to see him. He will he will open the knowledge, spread it, crack it open. You will see him, Ya Jabir. And Jabir, when he was older, he used to walk around Medina, and you say, Ya Baqir, Ya Baqir, Ya Baqir. They thought he was insane. So they asked him, why are you yelling Ya Baqir, Ya Baqir, Ya Baqir? Because he said, Rasulullah told me there will be a man who will be born with my name, who will be known as Al-Baqir. And this is again a famous hadith. So there's principles that we use to affirm who the Imam is. Now compare that to your I'm sorry to say this, but compare this to your 49th Imam. Is your 49th Imam, is he someone, when you look at, your fitrah tells you this is the Imam of the universe? This is the Sultan of the universe? This is the person who angels descend upon? This is the person who is the teacher of Aristotle, the teacher of Plato, the teacher of Ar-Rida? Ar-Rida is not an Imam according to you. So what you're telling me is, by the way, this is the literal belief of Dr. Khalil. His belief is the 49th Imam is more knowledgeable than Musa al-Kadhim. There you go. That's what they believe. Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam is less knowledgeable than the 49th Imam they call today as the 49th Imam. Yani, come on. Again, intellectually, God leaves his religion clear for you. So inshallah, you guys benefited from that. And that's all I have to say on the matter. Assalamu alaikum, guys. You can
Wa alaikum salam wa jazakumullah khairan. You mentioned, that point again is a good point. Even the hadith containing 3 Alis and 3 Muhammads from her descendants, and then the total, they are 12. So that means there is one Ali that is not part of her descendants when you look at the list. So even based, if you add 1 plus 1, even based on this hadith that he's trying to take out of context, because the hadith says the last is the Qa'im. The last is the Qa'im. So the last is Muhammad, and he is the Qa'im. Unlike, the trick he's trying to pull, in order to favor his heresy by separating the Qa'im and the Mahdi. And by the way, also, he mentioned one hadith, which is found in Basair al-Darajat, where I think somebody told Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam that a foster brother of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam did not accept that the Imam was inspired. Now, there are 2 hadiths in regards to this. I think hadith number 3 in Basair al-Darajat, Imam al-Baqir actually, he denied. He said no. He actually knew that Imam Zainul Abidin was inspired. In other words, his foster brother. But let's assume, let's say actually the foster brother didn't know. Habibi, you as an Ismaili, you have 2 brothers fighting over the Imama, Nizar al-Musta'li. You have 2 brothers fighting over the Imama. This is not something, strange. It's common in any religion. Even, in prophethood, you see brothers actually disagreeing and all that. And, also the issue of disregarding Imam Ali as an Imam. You have the Musta'alis among the Ismailis. They actually do not consider Imam Ali alayhi salam to be an Imam. They believe he's the asas, he's like the foundation. So you see this antic of actually, writing off a certain name among the Ahlul Kisa. Because this is not an ordinary, this is not any Imam. You're talking of the Ahlul Kisa, whether it's Imam Hassan or Imam Ali. The Nizaris, that's the Agha Khanis, they don't consider Imam Hassan alayhi salam to be the main Imam. They write him off. He's a mustawda, he's a caretaker. The Musta'alis, they believe Imam Ali is the asas. They start counting from Imam al-Hassan. So this is not 12 Shia Islam. This is your antics. So you shouldn't come, and invent claims and attribute to us in order to buttress your heresies. I don't know if Sayyid Ahmed has anything to add before we end this, and then we can open a room so that we can have a discussion, because inshallah we will upload this on YouTube. So I don't know if Sayyid Ahmed has anything to add before inshallah we end this room.
No, Sayyid, جزاكم الله خير, أحسنتم, بارك الله فيكم. Inshallah, I think Brother Malik has something to add.
Naam, I really don't want to prolong the room, so if we can just quickly, round up, so that we can end this, and then we can open a discussion forum where all the brothers can actually come on the stage. If I've not accepted your invitation, it's because I don't want to prolong this room. People normally, they wouldn't like, very long videos to listen to. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Malik.
Assalamu alaikum. I just have 2 points. I'm not sure if you guys addressed them or not. The strength of Shia Islam is not only that it can prove itself from its own books. Our strength is our ability to prove our faith from the books of the people who oppose us. Comparatively speaking, and conversely, none of the other religions can prove their faith from their own books, nonetheless our own books. One example is the Ismailiyah. The action of appointing an imam and pointing out who that imam is, first and foremost, comes from God. It's a divine revelation. It's a divine action. So the question is, do the Ismailis have any divine text to show us who the imams are, or the process of selection for the imams using a divine text? When I say divine text, I'm not talking about the Quran only. I'm talking about the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because if this is a central issue of your faith, then first it reveal itself in the Quran. And we all agree that there is a revelation of the issue of imama in the Quran. But there is also an issue of the appointment, and that happens at the hand of the Prophet. Like in the story of Saul in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 246. Allah narrates to us the story of what happened with Bani Israel and their prophet, and what happened with Saul and how he became a king. They went to the prophet, and they asked him. And the one who told them about the appointment of Saul is their prophet. So do the Ismailis have anything from Prophet Muhammad saying that Ismail is going to be the Imam? There is no such text that exists. It does not exist anywhere. The only text they rely on is a narration that is easily explained and not refuted, but directed to the proper understanding. Do they have anything from the Prophet about the way that they succeed, that it's an endless succession? They don't have anything like that. So on all fronts, they fail to prove their faith, but they're trying to poke holes at our understanding, which is a solid understanding built on methodologies that are well accepted academically, intellectually, intelligently, logically, philosophically. In any sort of paradigm, it is accepted and well established. But they try to poke holes at it. Why do they do this? Why do they try to poke holes at our methodology if it's sound? Because they don't have anything to back up what they have. Because if they had the truth, theirs is the truth, they wouldn't have to poke holes at anyone else's methodology. They say, oh, hey, Shia, Prophet Muhammad said that our Imam is the Imam after Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Hey Shia, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us that the way that you get the succession is an endless succession, and each one comes, he appoints the people after him. And you do not have that. So you have to keep that in your mind when you are dealing with these heresies that are perpetuated by the likes of Khalil and Dani and anyone who listens to him or believes him. And that's all I had to say.
I think you wanted to add something, Brother Ahmed.
No, no, I just wanted to add that these Agha Khanis, the lineage of the Imam is not established to the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. Firstly, this Agha Khan, this Prince Charles's boyfriend, this aristocrat, this Taghut, was actually given the Imama by the British court in India. So the British has established the Imama for this Agha Khan, and they parade him as a divine Imam, like it's a joke. So firstly, his lineage to the Fatimids is not established. Secondly, the Fatimid lineage to the Imam, to Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, is rejected by all historians. These people were a cult in Iran, a Sufi cult, Ni'matullahi order, and they claimed this to collect some money, the 10% tax that they imposed on their followers. So it's a cult like the Baha'is, like the Qadianis. It's not an established. They're not even the Ismailis of the Fatimids or before them. They're not that. They claim they invented something in the 1600s. This guy, the founder, the Agha Khan, claimed imamat for himself, offshoots of this Sufi cult. So this is the history. Like this, we shouldn't make a room on this one day, inshallah, and expose them. So I posted this link. This is just a Wikipedia link of the Agha Khan case. This was a famous case in colonial India that the British Crown handed the imamat of the Agha Khan. You know, so they imam was crowned by the British. This is why they're so loyal to the Queen, and they're very close with the kuffar, these Agha Khanis. So you can check it in the link.
Jazakumullah khairan, Akhi Malik, and also Brother Shadi, Jazakallah khair, and Brother Sayyid Ahmed, who has been of great assistance in actually providing the links to the evidence that we have cited. And may Allah bless all the brothers in the audience. May Allah accept your patience as ibadah, because you've listened for over 2 hours to what we have to say in responding to this so-called doctor, this Agha Khani heretic. So we will actually round up this room. I will end this room, and we can open a new room for discussion. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
And Khalil just presented it. When the paper comes out in June, my name will be on it. But yeah, so it was whatever. But that's neither. I don't really care for credit. I think it's a good argument. So Muhammad Afid, if you know what? Well, I'll wait for you. If you can put it on YouTube sooner than later, I would appreciate it. What do you mean it was your argument? Wow. Back in August, I presented this on Clubhouse. A couple of the brothers remember the first time I discovered this and when I first tried this out. Okay. Then in my debate with Eunice, I used it in my debate with Eunice as well. This is something I've been saying since August. I was the first one to present it. Now, basically, if you want the origination story, I discovered this and I presented it to Dr. Khalil, and I said, "What are your thoughts on this? Like, you know, am I onto something here? This seems strange to me. Like, what do you think of this?" And he was like, "No, you're definitely onto something. Like the pieces don't align properly. There should be research done on this." Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So hey, what's up? So Muhammad Athar, from there, I mean, you can ask the Shias who were there. I used it for the first time. Very, very.